You are now listening to the Social English Podcast. This is an English slang words and phrases for social situations episode. In today's episode of the Social English Podcast, you are going to learn a cool new English slang phrase I want to share with you today. That phrase is shoot my shot. We're going to talk about it, what it means, and get into it right after this.
皆さんこんにちは。毎日少しずつ社交に使える英語の上達を目指すソーシャルイングリッシュポッドキャストへようこそ。今日はぜひもっと自信を持って英会話してみましょう。Are you ready, Percy? Let's go!
皆さん、welcome to another episode of the Social English Podcast. I'm your host, Percy. Today, we have a special edition of Social English Snacks where we will teach you a new English slang word or phrase you can use in social English situations. Today's phrase is shoot my shot. Okay, so we're going to talk about that, what it means, and give you some more examples soon, right after this.
今日はクイズをしましょう。この単語を英語で理解できるかどうかをテストする準備はできていますか？今日私たちは別のこれはどういう意味ですかエピソード。今日私たちは現代の本物の話し言葉の英語で使われている単語やフレーズを教えます。エピソードの終わりまで聞いてください。あなたは今日あなたが学んだことに驚くでしょう。始めましょう。
Thanks a lot, Ko. So yes, this is a quiz. And the quiz is, do you know what this means? Do you know what shoot my shot means already? Well, think about it for a moment. Okay, so here's a sentence. Listen to this sentence and try to figure out what it means. Here's this phrase in a sentence. I'm going to shoot my shot and ask her out on a date. Okay, did you catch the meaning? Okay, so let me say it one more time. Here is the sentence using today's slang phrase. Listen carefully. 聞いてください. I'm going to shoot my shot and ask her out on a date.
今日のソーシャルイングリッシュのエピソードは中級または上級のスキルレベルで英語を勉強している人々を対象としています。初心者の方はゆっくりとエピソードを聞いてください。頑張れ。
So, maybe let's talk about its history. Where does this come from? Okay? Shoot my shot. The phrase, the slang phrase, comes from basketball. In the game, players take a shot. They shoot a shot at the net in the hoop to try to score points. Over time, in my country, in America, we use this and turn it into an English slang phrase. So people started using it to mean taking a chance or making an effort, especially when asking to meet someone romantically, like on a date or just trying to get a contact number or Instagram or anything like that, Snapchat, Line. So even though both males and females can use shoot my shot, it's commonly and usually used only by males in social English conversations. Okay, so now let's just go into the internet here and we're going to go look for some examples, okay? Tataeba. Some examples of shoot my shot. Tataeba shoot my shot. Okay, kite kudasai. Just quickly. So let's go to the internet first and then we'll look at some examples. Okay, so hey everyone, after a little bit of microphone malfunction there, we're going to listen to some examples of shoot my shot on the internet. We're going to check some of those out and give you some. You already listened to the meaning, what it means, and why it's used, like the history. So here's some examples of it. Let's get into it. Okay, so here is the example of shoot my shot. Please listen to this lady. She's talking about it in a different way, a little bit different way that it's used, but it's very interesting. Please listen, kite kudasai.
Go forward with my education, so I decided to come to Howard Community College. I did hear that their theater program was a really good program, so I decided that, okay, I'll shoot my shot and go for it. And here I am.
Awesome. And what has your experience been like at HCC so far?
So far, the experience has been very well.
Okay, in that example, she's talking about her experience in college at a theater program. So a theater program that she's learning theater in, and why she decided to go there. She said she decided to shoot her shot. Okay, now we have another example of shoot my shot. This is also not used in the dating sense, but used in giving something a chance or trying something. So here's another example of shoot my shot. Listen, kite kudasai.
What's that?
Do you think they're insured for this?
Nah, I don't know.
After that slightly bizarre display, Masvidal was whisked off to do his presser, and I decided to shoot my shot and ask him a question.
A lot of people have said to me that fighting is a primal instinct that all men have. Do you believe that to be true? Do you think that all men have that inside them?
Okay, so in that situation, the interviewer, she wanted to ask this fighter a question, so she used the slang phrase shoot my shot to talk about trying to even ask this famous person a question. So that's how she used shoot my shot. Let's look at another example. Okay, this example where we have someone talking about their college experience, and it's an interesting way they use shoot my shot here as well. But it's a little bit different than what I talked about in the podcast, but it still matters. So it's a good idea to listen very carefully. Kite kudasai.
Interested in working with the program, I jumped at the chance. Great. I was going to shoot my shot and see where I would fit. And I remember in my very first meeting with our director, Anthony Swin, I just wrapped up my first semester, confident I had the skills to tackle whatever came at me. But sitting across from Anthony in that room in the Berkeley Institute for Data Science, I was getting pretty nervous.
Okay, so in this last episode we're going to do today, finally we get to the way that I explained it in the podcast, in the episode. This is in the romantic sense, when you'll hear people talking maybe in a conversation, between men and women, or just anybody in a social situation, when they tell a story about something that they did, or maybe they went to a bar, or just dating or something like that. It's usual. This is the way that shoot my shot is used. The phrase shoot my shot is used. So please listen to this conversation, and let's get into it.
He thought, yeah, let me just see what happens.
Maybe he was like, you know what? Let me just shoot my shot. Like, what's the worst? Maybe.
Are you on online dating?
I am. I'm on like Hinge and Bumble, but I really just use Hinge.
Okay. How's it going?
Okay, so as you can see, the interviewer asked the lady about a person that was trying to go on a date with her or something like that. So she was talking about how he shot his shot, or what he asked her for a date or something. She didn't say what happened, but she tells us that that the guy shot his shot. So that's how that went.
このショーを気に入っていただけたら5つ星のレビューをぜひお願いします。
Okay, everybody, that is going to be today's episode. But first, here is your action item. I want you to practice English. Try using shoot my shot in a conversation with a friend. If you don't have a friend, remember to use your avatar. Go back to my Social English podcast, the episode about avatar and using an avatar to practice English if you can't remember. Okay, so I want you to practice using that phrase, shoot my shot, with a friend or your avatar. I want to thank you for listening to the Social English Podcast. Follow us on Apple Podcasts to get every episode as soon as it comes out. Also, you can help support this podcast. Please leave a donation at our Social English Patreon page. Please subscribe to the Social English YouTube channel so you can see some video of me and these examples. You can also watch us on TikTok, and if you have any English questions, you could leave them in English, Spanish, Japanese, Korean, doesn't matter to me, at Social English for Japanese, and I will try to answer your question personally. Thank you for listening. I am glad that we got to spend some time together. I will see you in the next episode. Peace and love.
今日は楽しい時間をありがとうございました。ぜひ私たちのウェブサイト realsocialenglish.com を訪問して日本語訳と役立つ情報を手に入れてください。また次回お会いしましょう。バイバイ。See you next time. Bye bye.
I hope that you enjoyed that short little quiz. Let's move on to the end of this episode. Yes. And before we finish, let's talk about my action items for you for today's episode. I want you to try to use one of the new phrases we talked about today in a conversation with a friend, or practice by yourself. If you are lucky, you know a native English speaker and surprise them by using a new phrase. For example, you can say, I'm having trouble adjusting to the lifestyle. Use this and practice it with your friends. I want to thank you again for hanging out with me, spending some time learning how to speak real social English. Thanks for listening. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and subscribe to the Social English Podcast. If you have any questions about today's episode, go ahead and hit me up with a message on Instagram at social_English_for_Japanese. I will see you in the next episode. Peace and love.